Is that?
I think it is.
Henry. This is A lot has changed since he was a sidekick. But now, Henry has to face his destiny.
Is that my sister? Piper, why are you dressed like that?
I think he's doing that to be disturbing.
It's working.
Henry Danger, the movie.
Welcome to Movie Recap Time. In a secret laboratory in the city of SWW, soldiers carry one of their most valuable technological devices through the corridors. This device has the power to alter reality. In the middle of the journey, the object is stolen, triggering a loud alarm throughout the facility. The intruder attempts to escape with the device in hand. The thief dashes through the lab's corridors, using combat skills to stun and defeat every security guard in his path. Suddenly, guards surround him, but before they can strike with electric batons, he dodges, causing them to accidentally hit each other. All the agents are knocked down by their own electrical discharges, locking the doors behind him with a padlock. Revealing herself to be Missy Martin, Henry Danger's #1 fan, who dreams of becoming a superhero. With the reality manipulator in hand, she sets up her hacker computers, preparing to configure the device and bring Henry Danger back to life. A few years ago, Henry joined many adventures alongside the great superhero Captain Man. Together, they brought safety to the city of SWW. During these missions, they were joined by the brilliant SHS and Henry's best friends, Jasper and Charlotte. Excited to be a part of it all, Jasper trained hard and eventually mastered the art of fighting, even while asleep. Soon, Piper, Henry's younger sister, joined the team, and with that, SWW's superhero group was complete. One night, during a major catastrophe, Henry chose to sacrifice himself by flying an explosive airship into the mountains to save civilians. At that moment, he discovered that the radioactive substance in his body gave him the ability to generate protective fields. Thanks to this, Henry escaped the explosion unharmed. From that night on, news spread everywhere, and the public believed Henry had died in the disaster. Years later, Jasper walks the streets of Dystopia with Detective Jones, who asks about Henry's whereabouts. Shortly after, Piper and SHS appear, saying they've come to visit the superheroes. During their conversation, Jasper reveals a confrontation is about to happen, one where a fuel truck will be attacked by an entity named Blackout. He explains that Blackout plans to plunge Dystopia into darkness by destroying all of the city's energy sources. Meanwhile, Henry arrives at a press conference, but suddenly the city's power starts to fail, a warning that Blackout is near. Jasper puts on his instant sleep blindfold, while SHS uses a security camera to craft an X-ray vision device. Moments later, a cargo truck appears, but before anyone can react, Blackout emerges from a mist and hurls the driver away. The villain materializes into a physical form, allowing Jasper to strike with a powerful kick. At the same time, Henry arrives at the scene. When he sees his old enemy, Blackout attacks. Despite the villain's speed, Henry dodges, grabs him, and throws him through a nearby store window. As Blackout lies stunned, Henry is cheered by the people around him. After regrouping, the heroes return to the battlefield. Angry, Blackout retaliates, knocking Henry to the ground. Henry rises and prepares to counterattack, but before another blow lands, he generates his radioactive shield, trapping Blackout's arms and flinging him into a building. With the battle over, the city's power is restored. Henry heads back to his agency, only to find it has been completely destroyed by Blackout. Shocked, he walks through the wreckage, but is suddenly ambushed. The creature throws him out of the window, causing him to fall hundreds of meters. Far away, Missy completes her setup of the reality manipulator. When she activates it, a massive bolt of lightning strikes her room. All the drawings in her notebook become connected to the device, and a portal forms around her. Out of it lands Henry, wearing the very same uniform Missy had drawn. Startled, Henry tries to understand what's happening. Missy explains he's now in Newtown and that she brought him back to life with the device. Henry responds that he wasn't killed, he just moved to a new region to live as an independent superhero. Realizing she risked everything for nothing, Missy becomes furious. She tells him Newtown is spiraling into chaos and crime is rising fast. She says she brought him back so they could fight together as a true superhero duo. But Henry declines, saying he must return to Dystopia immediately. Disheartened, Missy begins to prepare Missy uses the device to reverse her actions, but just then, the pair hears cries for help from a woman who is being assaulted by a huge criminal. Worried about what's going on, the young woman decides to look out of the window and realizes that it's actually Coach Craig, one of the characters in her stories. At that moment, Missy realizes that the entire contents of her notebook may have come true and asks Henry to run to her aid. Due to the young woman's insistence, the superhero decides to confront the giant man. But as he approaches, he realizes that his special abilities aren't working, causing him to be hit by several blows from his adversary. Missy explains that she didn't know about the young man's radioactive powers, which is why Henry ended up becoming a normal human being again. So, the girl says she can help the man in his fights, allowing them to win without difficulty. But Henry refuses to be helped and receives another attack from Craig, who forces him to do thousands of push-ups on the floor. As night falls, the superhero continues his exercises against his will, and Missy reveals that another of the evil characters she has created may be about to meet them. The girl tells him that she has written a story about an electric vampire, and that if Henry doesn't get out of that place soon, they could end up being eliminated by their enemies. Looking at the woman, Henry notices that the creature has a face extremely similar to Piper, and before they can be attacked, Missy activates the reality manipulation device, allowing them to escape safely. What they don't know is that the vampire is extremely fast and managed to steal the red crystal from the device before the pair could escape. For this reason, the device ends up not working as expected, causing the pair to end up in the middle of a party nightclub. At that moment, Henry realizes that his sister is at the nightclub, just like them, and is extremely worried when he notices that Piper is no longer in Dystopia. While questioning his teammate, the young man decides to inspect the device and realizes that the young woman has blocked the story mode. The girl also claims to have altered the way things happen. The young man realizes that his friend has superpowers far superior to his own, even allowing him to fly freely. Outraged by everything he is witnessing, Henry decides to leave, but is stopped by Piper, who calls Franchini so that they can try to cheer up her brother. Trying to find a way out of the situation, Henry tells them that the team must find Shaw so that he can reprogram the device and bring everyone back to reality, who turns out to be none other than one of the venue's employees. After much insistence, the superhero manages to convince his friend, who begins to inspect the manipulation device. At that moment, a large whistle is blown around the place, and Missy tells him that she had written a story in which Coach Craig would appear in the middle of the nightclub. Annoyed by all the noise caused by the giant man, Franchini scolds him and ends up being forced to do hundreds of push-ups in the middle of the stage. Noticing the presence of the villain, Jasper decides to confront him, and Missy tries to convince Henry to put on his combat suit so that he can help the young man fight Craig. In a few seconds, the young man is transformed into his supersuit, given the title of Captain Lollipop, and when he realizes that his combat weapon is nothing more than a giant lollipop, he is completely disappointed. Always came up with the most crazy plots possible. Despite this, Henry runs toward his friend, and before he can remove the large mustache from Jasper's face, the evil trainer is confronted by the superhero, who tries to hit him with his weapon. However, the giant candy ends up breaking on the first attack, and Craig throws his opponent several times, even using the pieces of the giant candy to hit his head. Before his teammate could be eliminated by the man, Jasper runs toward him, hitting him with a kick that sends him flying away from him. To finish him off, Jasper knocks the trainer over onto one of the tables in the room and kicks the object, causing the villain to be carried away and defeated once and for all. Disgusted with everything Missy has put him through, the young man gives up. During the conversation, Shaw appears and tells them that if they manage to recover the red crystal from the reality manipulator, they will be able to return to the real world. Soon afterwards, Franchini appears, saying that his biggest show is about to begin, and orders his friends to head for the ballroom. However, Henry says they're busy and asks them to throw away that strange object they've been talking so much about. As a result, Franchini tries to grab the device, and in trying to stop him, the young man ends up triggering the teleportation, causing the trio to be sent to another universe, abandoning Shaw, who returns to work as normal. After teleport, press the button one more time so that he can return to his nightclub, despite knowing they are in danger in that place. The girl tells them that they could be sent to another random story she's written, which could easily put them in extreme danger. Disgusted, Franchini decides to wait until the device works properly again. At that point, the superhero duo are surprised by Coach Craig, who is accompanied by the vampire Piper. Missy explains that she has written about the villains in several of her stories, and this time they are there to capture her little sister. In order to calm the situation, Henry tries to talk to Piper, and before his friend can be attacked by the vampire, Franchini appears, distracting the woman with his compliments. Taking advantage of the distraction, the superheroes run toward a trailer so they can hide from the villains. Suddenly, Piper bites Franchini, who is extremely frightened, but before he can flee the scene, he begins his transformation into a Mayob vampire. Before they could figure out how to get out of there, the superheroes are surprised by Craig, who rips the door off the vehicle and throws the pair toward the vampires. Piper orders the young woman to hand over the reality manipulator, but Henry thinks quickly and presses the button on the device, allowing them to escape safely. After teleporting, the pair find themselves in the middle of an apocalyptic scenario where the world is in ruins and everyone is fighting for their survival. Suddenly, a stone is thrown in Henry's direction, but before he can be hit, Jasper appears and throws himself in front of the projectile. As he gets up, the man reveals that the enemies are approaching and orders the pair to accompany him to the top of his wall. Missy reveals that this is the time of the Syrup War, where the survivors of a nuclear apocalypse are searching for the remains of human civilization. Just then, a group of soldiers ride up on their servants, who act as if they were real horses. Furious, the men order the survivors to hand over their syrup tank, but Jasper says that won't happen, making the invaders increasingly angry. Realizing that the situation is more dangerous than it seems, the pair decide to explain everything to the survivor, who is extremely confused. Despite this, Jasper says that he will help them find SHS, but first, he tells them that they will have to defeat the crazy invaders. Sometime later, the soldiers are preparing their pancakes in front of the camp when they realize that the gates are finally opening. Quickly, the group of invaders rushes inside and starts looking for the members of that place. At that moment, Henry and Jasper jump out from under the leaves and reveal themselves, hitting each of the soldiers in their most sensitive places. With all the targets distracted, Missy uses the syrup hose, hitting the soldiers with an extremely powerful jet that throws them all away. Now that they are safe, the survivors await the arrival of the transporter, and after a few hours, a large truck arrives at the camp. As he approaches, Henry realizes that the driver is none other than SHA, and is extremely relieved to be reunited with his friend. Later, the group gets together to inspect the technological device, and the scientist claims that thanks to the theft of the red crystal, the device has locked itself in history mode. At that moment, Missy reveals that she spotted the object in Piper's necklace and is devastated to realize all the harm she has done to her friends' lives. Trying to cheer the girl up, Henry says that he understands why she asked for his help and says they will save all her friends. SHA explains that all they need to do is retrieve the crystal so that they can return home and stop Piper from creating an army of vampires to take over the real world. With everything ready, the multiverse travelers activate the device, and after passing through the cartoon world once again, they return to Newtown, where they encounter the group of villains. Noticing Missy's younger sister being held hostage by Piper, who still has the red crystal, the group prepares to fight their adversaries. Before she could be attacked, the vampire woman orders her companions to attack the superheroes and enters the house with the girl. Craig quickly uses his whistle to stun the group and kicks Henry, who is thrown away. Meanwhile, SHA hides to protect the device, and Missy rushes to rescue her sister. Jasper orders his friend to run and save the girl, saying that he will confront the villains to save time, and takes a wooden stake from the fence. Wanting to eliminate the vampire, the superhero tries to pierce him, but Franchini manages to get out of the grip, causing Craig to almost get hit by the stake. Soon after, Jasper tries to cross his opponent's body once again, but is stopped by the coach, who hits him with a kick and uses his whistle to stun him. Inside the house, Henry joins Missy, and when he sees Piper coming down the stairs, the girl runs toward the woman but is easily struck, sending her flying. Outraged, the superhero attacks the vampire, but she dodges his strikes with ease, using her cloud of bats to teleport and attempt a surprise attack. Piper appears behind Henry, but he manages to grab her arm and slam it against a lampshade, electrocuting her violently. Some of the electricity flows into Henry's body, but in that moment, he realizes the vampire is still standing, just in time to be struck by her flying attack. Henry and Piper crash through several walls, weakening the superhero. Before Piper can finish him off, Missy intervenes, hurling herself at the vampire, who bites her arm with her fangs. Desperate, Henry kicks Piper away, then looks at Missy's bitten arm and wonders why she did that. Excited, Missy reveals that she captured the red crystal and tells Henry to go home before Piper kills him. Devastated, Henry walks away, watching Missy slowly transform into a vampire. Meanwhile, Jasper grabs Craig's whistle and uses the cord to spin him around. He kicks Franchini, but the coach stuns him again with his whistle. Realizing Jasper is in danger, Shaw runs to Craig, knocks him down with his earplugs, and destroys the whistle. At the same time, Jasper immobilizes Franchini and urges the scientists to ready the device for their escape. Suddenly, Henry returns and throws the crystal toward Shaw, who catches it just before Piper can. The scientist says they need to configure the teleport and urges the heroes to buy time. As they defend Shaw, they encounter Missy, now a vampire. Henry, shaken, throws her aside, while Jasper grabs Piper and pulls her from the fight, giving Henry the chance to punch the trainer. Using Missy's cape to distract her, Henry lands hits on Craig and Franchini, then pins Missy to the ground. Jasper smashes the nearby fences using Piper's body, but Piper grows furious and summons her vampire army. Surrounded, Henry keeps holding Missy and begs Shaw to hurry. Shaw replies that teleportation will only work in a few more seconds. To protect his best friend, Jasper steps in front of the group, ready to fight all the vampires at once. At that moment, Shaw activates the reality manipulator, returning everyone to their own worlds. Back at her house, Missy is relieved. When she sees her sister, she becomes emotional and hugs her tightly. In the nightclub, Franchini is thrilled to be back and resumes his show like nothing ever happened. In Dystopia, Henry falls into the town lake. He swims to shore and heads to a coffee shop, where he finds Jasper alone. Henry approaches and apologizes for everything over the years. He says he must leave because he knows Dystopia now has a new superhero to protect it. Jasper says he'll miss him, but the power flickers. He tells Henry they have one last thing to do. The pair race to the city center, surprising Blackout. Before the villain can attack, Henry conjures a radioactive shield and Jasper flanks him. Together, they strike the monster repeatedly and defeat him with ease. As the fight ends, the crowd applauds Henry, who's thrilled to finally have real fans. The next day, they visit someone, and Henry knocks out the thieves trying to rob her. The superheroes then invite their new ally on another journey. Henry Danger uses his new flying power to take his friends on their next adventure. Later, Missy and her partner infiltrate an enemy building and witness several drones being destroyed by a mysterious figure. As they get closer, Henry realizes it's none other than Captain Man, who says he needs the help of his former apprentice once more.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an exciting story. More thrilling recaps are on the way, and you won't want to miss them. Drop a comment below and let me know your favorite moment from this story. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. Movie Recap Time Team.